Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Long Shot. Sticking in theme today, I present to you a schlub of a guy. Oof. With a blonde bombshell that is impossibly gorgeous and 100 times out of my league. But I guess that's not entirely fair. On the rare occasion, Seth Rogen does have an impossibly attractive brunette bombshell as his romantic lead. But Longshot tells the story of old time friends that coincidentally reconnect at a party, and from there blossoms both a professional and personal relationship as she gets ready to run for President of the United States. I have to say, I wasn't really excited to see this film. I love Charlize Theron. I think she's gorgeous, like stunningly gorgeous. But also, she's an amazing actress, and usually I'm really interested in the career choices she makes. However, Seth Rogen comedies are more miss than they are hit for me personally. There are some that I love and think are so funny, but there are just as many that I'm like, ugh, what is this? And as I kind of called out in that beginning of the intro, pretty sick of this trope where we have this average to below average looking guy who literally just looks unkept, is a literal schlub who is dating or gets to date or in some sort of romantic capacity with a stunningly gorgeous woman. And Seth Rogen in particular has done this countless times at this point. It's a common trope amongst television and movies, and I'm just kind of over it. And that really kind of snuffed out excitement for me, honestly. But the early reactions were really positive. I know people out there in the social medias were really loving this film and hyping it way up. So I went in with as open of a mind as possible. And I came out reaffirmed I am a curmudgeon because it was fine. But let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, I do think Charlize Theron is great in this movie. She's so good and she plays this role so well. I loved her hair, I loved the fashions, everything about it works so well. Plus, as predicted, she looked stunningly gorgeous. They framed her so well in this movie. Oh, I mean, she looked amazing. I do also think Seth Rogen was at his charming best. This one in particular, with the career on top of the looks and just the impossibility of Charlize herself, maybe he knew he had to really bring his A game to make it any sort of convincing. And I think he was very charming, very likable, had some adorable moments. And I loved her assistant, like her campaign manager, I thought was really funny. And there are certainly really funny moments. We have a couple of physical gags that really worked, a couple of just like zingers that worked well. And it flies by. The movie doesn't feel long, even though it does clock in just over 2 hours. I think everything moves along at a very natural pace that doesn't give time for your mind to start wandering or lingering, but also doesn't shortchange the story that's being told. So I think the runtime was done very well. The editing of the film was done very well. And honestly, I do think our leads ended up having some nice chemistry, which is pretty essential when it comes down to a rom-com. But that's about as far as my straight up positives go. Because honestly, I think this was pretty standard fare for a romantic comedy. We go through beat by beat every romantic comedy, almost ever. Right down to the conflicts, the resolutions, the ups, the downs, the kisses, the this, the that. Everything is virtually the same. You know what to expect, and we don't deviate very often. But in saying that, when we do get the Seth Rogen style, like raunchy rom com in here, it just kind of was a little gross to me. Not gonna lie. And ultimately, the trope just didn't work for me. I didn't fully believe it. I think this movie would have been better served of them just being friends, like them just being working friends on the campaign trail. He's coming in to really help her career by coming in to punch up the lines instead of this becoming a romantic comedy. Still could have had a lot of the same tensions, honestly. And I just think it would have made for a stronger overall scenario to have like a buddy working relationship type of comedy. I think the lessons could have still been there, just almost it almost could have played out virtually the same, honestly, and it would have just worked a little bit better for me. But what do I know? I usually am ready to cut romance out of films. But we even get like super cheesy romance dialogue in here, like, and it's just like way over the top rom-com writing that I couldn't handle. And then, of course, there's so much unbelievability. I just couldn't. I'm too cynical to go along with how, like, optimistic this film is, how perfect everything kind of is in the film. I couldn't get on board. I'm sorry. And then we get some really random stuff thrown in here, honestly, that I was like, what is this? In particular, there's like this weird action scene dropped into the middle of this film, maybe a third of the way through, that just felt so out of place. I actually thought maybe it was like a weird dream sequence because they were watching Avengers on TV, that I thought maybe she was dreaming of that she was thrown into the Avengers or something. It was just very jarring, honestly. But that's about it with the negatives. That's about it with the positives. That's about it with the film. It felt like standard fare, honestly. If you enjoy Seth Rogen's brand of raunchy rom-coms, I think you're really going to enjoy this. If you like rom-coms in general, I think you're really going to enjoy this. You all should probably give this a full price ticket. Otherwise, I still think it's fun enough. It has enough laughs in there. And Charlize plays a really well-developed female character. She is not really just a love interest here. She is kind of the central character of this story. She's the one with the goals, the aspirations, and such. So I would say still give this a rental. Even if you're not interested in seeing it in the theaters or don't usually rush out for romantic comedies in the theaters, this deserves a rental and you should see it at some point. I just don't know that it's good enough to buck that trend and head on out for those theater prices. So, that is my review of Long Shot. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Long Shot, or have you already seen it? And if you have, what were your thoughts on the film? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!